Hi, I'm Jennifer Bardot, and I'm the host today. And I'm excited to have on the Grit Talk Show Lynda Roth, a two-time contributing author in not only the Growth Deconstructing Grit collection, but also the original Owning Your Grit. So Lynda, thank you for being a guest today. Can you tell me a little bit more about who Lynda Roth is?
Sure. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I've enjoyed working with the books and writing my 2 chapters. I have had a rather lengthy career, and I grew up first in a entrepreneurial home. My father started a business when I was little, and I have younger brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest, and my 2 youngest siblings are boy and girl twins, and they were born when I was 11 years old. And so the options I had was somebody has to take care of the babies and somebody has to do the bookwork for the office. So I said, I'll do the bookwork for the office. She gave birth to them. She could take care of them. So that kind of started my career in that this is years ago when everything was on paper and my dad would bring home all the accounting books and I had to sit there and put all the entries in. And then years later, when I was going to college and took accounting, I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. And but also I took accounting classes, but my counselor has suggested I enter the new information technology curriculum, which was brand new. And it was the first course that had ever been offered, at least in the St. Louis area, for that. And so I did that. And at first I thought, oh man, I don't know what I've gotten myself into, writing programs and stuff. And it just seemed like, oh, I don't know that I'll ever catch on. But I did. And when I graduated second in the class. And the instructors helped me get a position at Ralston Purina. And so at the time, Ralston Purina and McDonnell Douglas were the 2 big data centers. And so I was in a top data center that had all the new equipment and everything, and I learned all the new technologies, which turned out to be a really big step up when Levi Strauss was advertising for developers in the Midwest. Levi Strauss, of course, is headquartered in San Francisco, but they were opening at the time what was going to be an automated warehouse in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they were looking for developers. And when you finished with the job in Little Rock, Arkansas, of course, going to Little Rock, Arkansas, even from St. Louis was like, but it was my ticket to California.
That's cool.
And because they had said that if you stayed on the job and finished with Little Rock, if you wanted a job in California, you'd have one. And I'm like, that's what I want.
So that was your goal, to get to California.
Get to California.
So it sounds like your upbringing really allowed you to utilize those entrepreneurial skills at a much younger age and have the courage to explore a program that had never really, never been established in St. Louis, and particularly women in STEM is unique as well. So were you one of the only women in that program when you enrolled?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And for a long time, there were a few women once I got out to California. And actually, I should back up. There was one woman at Ralston Purina when I went to work there, and she kind of took me under her wing and helped me get started. But she and I were the only 2. And then when I went to California, first of all, California was a little bit more open, and it was getting to where, by now we're in the late 70s, and more women are working, and it's kind of. It was a career, since it was new, it wasn't typecast as male or female. Mm-hmm. And so you could get through and make inroads, which I did.
So talking about inroads, tell me more about the books that you've self-published.
My primary book was Digital Transformation, an Executive Guide to Survive and Thrive in the New Economy. And I wrote that in 2019 and 2020, mostly because I saw that a lot of businesses weren't seeing the changes that were coming with digital technologies. And so the whole goal of the book was to get executives and entrepreneurs to see that they had to become a digital business, regardless of what their business was. They had to become digital, or else they weren't going to survive.
And that takes me to the work that you do today. Can you tell us more about your company that you lead and how you support businesses within our community and nationally?
Sure. I work with businesses that they they generally know they need technology. As a matter of fact, my most recent client, the first meeting I had with them, the owner and CEO, the first thing he said to me is, he goes, I know I need to have new technologies, but I don't know where to find them. And that's one of the biggest problems that mid-market companies tend to work in the mid-market. And so these are generally privately held businesses, and they don't know where to look. And they can't, he said two things to me. I don't know where to find the systems, and I can't afford the big major technologies, which are millions and millions of dollars of cost. And so I said, there are many in the middle, and I'll help you find them. And that's what we did. And so I bring in all of the vendors, help them make the decision of what systems are going to work best for them. And then in their case, I also help them build their team and kind of watched over to make sure that the implementations were going well.
And talking about building a team, I know you and I actually met through the Association of Corporate Growth here because you led the Women's Initiative Group. So can you tell us more about your path of leadership within corporate America?
Well, I guess there's several things within corporate America. First of all, way back early in my career, I started my own business, and I had a software business for a while. We created, at the time, which was a mainframe application, but it was a precursor of what are the business intelligence apps of today. We called it Metafact, and the idea was to bring higher level reporting and information to executives rather than just the ones that took care of the financial side. So we were ahead of our time at that, but we wrote the system on mainframes, which is all there was. And so when technology started to change, I went to my partners and I said, we have to rewrite this system on the new technologies. And my partners disagreed with me. So I said, okay, well then buy me out. And I started consulting, and they of course didn't survive because they weren't going to be able to survive in the mainframe environment. And so that started my path of just working with businesses to put in the newer technologies that they needed as time marched on and everything became much more digital.
And that took a lot of courage to know when to call it. So how did you know that you were ready to be bought out and allow them to take a different direction when you didn't see what you envisioned coming to fruition?
Well, I just saw very clearly, and I don't really know why I saw it other than technology always marches forward. It doesn't say stuck where it was. And so we were on mainframe technologies. And at the time, technology was changing, and you had the different servers coming out and everything. And mainframes were going to, today there still are plenty of mainframes that are running, but they're in the background. And you just don't have it. Everybody's on servers, right? And so I saw that coming, and I'm like, you're not going to survive. So I had them buy me out so that I could start doing something else. And they didn't last 2 years. Wow. I knew that was what was going to happen.
So very visionary. So you already had visioned 2 years ahead of what it was going to look like for them and knew you needed to call it. That's incredible. So where did you get that mindset of being such a visionary and being such a change agent and always stepping into the unknown with courage and confidence?
That's a good question, Jennifer. I'm not sure where it comes from either, other than it was modeled for me. And in the case of my dad's situation, it was need. He had not finished high school and joined the military during the Korean War. And he got out of that, and so he didn't have an education, and he needed to do something. He had a lot of knowledge, especially on appliances at the time. So by the time he came back from Korea, I was almost 2 years old, and very shortly they were pregnant with my sister. And so he had to do something. And so he started a business and repairing air conditioners and other things. And that's what supported our family for 50 years. And he never wanted, I kept asking him when I got to be a teenager and I was working there, why don't we grow this business? And he said, I don't want to grow it really big. I just, it takes care of our family, and that's all that's important. And he said, when I'm ready to retire, I'm just going to shut it down. And I was disappointed that he didn't have more ambition than that, but I understood what he was doing. It was just a business that was set up to raise our family.
That's beautiful. And I love that he was your model, because you are now a model for so many women who want to take themselves and their businesses into that technology space and embrace the unknown. So before we wrap things up today, is there anything else you would like to leave us with? Any affirmations or quotes that you live by?
Well, I don't know that there's necessarily a quote that I can come through, but it's like, don't be afraid of the unknown, and always look for what is coming next. You don't want to be looking at what all is happening now and what is the popular thing now, because there's always something on the horizon. And so it would have been really easy for me when I graduated from college to go and become an accountant, which is what my dad wanted me to do and everybody thought I should do. And I got an opportunity at Rost & Perina to go into the information technology space, and I said, this is where I'm going. And so I would say, try and keep your eye on what's in there for the future.
I think that's amazing advice. And I want to thank you for your time today, and thank you for your words of wisdom, and thank you for sharing your mindset and your approach for life.
Well, and Jennifer, thank you for the opportunity. I've enjoyed writing a chapter in both of the books, and doing things like this. It's been great. Thanks very much.
Wonderful. Thank you.